He hid his strength behind weaknesses and presented his prosperity as poverty. These lies served only as an excuse to abandon the West's values, interests and partners. It is time to reverse course. Abandon weakness and commit to Ukraine's victory, both for the citizens they govern and for the people living in neighboring states. They have weak leaders behind them who appease them. Compromise is interpreted by warmongering dictators as weakness, not restraint. To them, every transaction is a zero-sum game. They are encouraged not despite the concessions we make to them, but because of those concessions. Bad behavior should be rewarded, not punished. Even a child knows that rewarding someone who behaves wrongly does nothing but reinforce the wrong behavior. The same applies to malicious actors in international politics. At Munich Security Conference in 2007, then Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin committed to withdrawing from Georgia on an accelerated schedule. Russian peacekeepers deployed since the Georgian Civil War in 1990s. Instead of fulfilling this commitment, the Russian army invaded Georgia the following year. The West could impose devastating consequences on Moscow for its aggression. However, instead of punishing the Kremlin, Russia appeased it. To be clear, the cost of stopping Russia's aggression now would be marginal compared to the price that countries like Ukraine and the West have paid since then. French President Nicolas Sarkozy brokered a ceasefire that Moscow never respected. Shortly thereafter, Obama called for a reboot of relations with Russia. German Chancellor Angela Merkel rewarded Putin with Nord Stream 1. Russia hosted the 2014 Winter Olympics. Emboldened by the West's weakness, Putin has redoubled his aggressive foreign policy to destroy Ukraine's dream of a free and prosperous Euro-Atlantic future. Russia invaded Donbas and annexed Ukrainian Crimea in 2014. Just after hosting the Olympics in Sochi, Putin gambled. U.S. President Barack Obama slapped Russia on the wrist. Western sanctions against Moscow were limited in scope and scale. Europeans rewarded Putin with Nord Stream 2. Russia hosted the World Cup in 2018. As Putin predicted, business continued as usual. The weakness of West was exploited not only on the European stage but also in Middle East in 2012. Obama warned that America would intervene militarily if Bashar Assad used chemical weapons in the Syrian Civil War. When the Damascus dictator crossed Obama's famous red line, the United States did not heed his warning. Instead, Obama and British Prime Minister David Cameron convinced French President François Hollande that the right approach was to make a deal with Assad. Russia mediated the agreement. Syria has vowed to destroy all of its chemical weapons. Assad's chemical weapons attacks continued until at least 2018. After all, for Putin and his community of like-minded dictators, agreements are just words scribbled on a piece of paper. Emboldened.